Dumelang bagaetsho, I'm Tebogodi Tinti and welcome to Time with Tea. Thank you so much for choosing to spend time with me. I grew up in a coffee khaeno ke bana type of household. I grew up in a coffee tshwarisa pelo type of household, and I want to give you just a little backstory. See, let me start it there by my grandmother. See, my grandmother was a domestic worker and she could not afford coffee. At the time, coffee was a luxury type of item, so she would not opt to buy it every time she had a little bit of change because she had 3 kids to take care of. So she would drink coffee komerokong, so it was deemed because that's when she would only drink it. And one of the few times that she would be able to bring it home, ke he makgowa ba mo file something, ba mo tsheletse nyana kgotsa go na le leftover, and then ba mofa, and then khatlile le yona go ntlong e nna gore keng ke a makgowa ga eno ke bana or ke a baeng and such and so on and so forth. So that notion about coffee, then my mother carried it on to us. So it was that type of thing. It's not an item that she would buy often, but on a few times that she would buy it, we knew gore coffee ga eno ke bana ke a baeng or ke a batho ba golo, and so on and so forth. And then I grew. I think I had my first cup of coffee when I in realization that I'm really drinking coffee. I think I was around high school, and it was an adult beverage for me. It was one of the best things I've ever tasted, and I haven't stopped since. And I've been drinking coffee now for years and years. I don't want to say exactly how many years, but it's been a decade or 2. And I've never had a problem with coffee. I've had health issues, but they were not coffee related. The only problem was that I was not getting enough sleep because of the health issue that I have. And my doctor one time recommended that maybe lay off the coffee so that we can keep track of your sleeping patterns. If you can stay off coffee for this amount of time so that we can track and then if nothing is different or nothing changes, you can just go back to your regular routine. And nothing changed. Even when I was off coffee, I was still sleeping less. I was not having good sleep. I don't even remember the last time I had a good 8 hours of sleep. I'm just not one of those people. Then I would have had 4 to 5 hours of sleep because I have issue the headaches. And before a lot of social media doctors jump on to say the headaches coffee, I've had headaches before even I started having coffee. My first memory as a kid was with my head pounding, so it is not related to any of that. So now I get to enjoy coffee anytime, anywhere, whenever I want, because I can afford to. And my kids get to enjoy a cup of coffee whenever they want. So now I have 3 kids, and as a parent, we want the best for our children. Well, every parent that I have met personally want their best for their children, not the parents that I've seen online on those true crime documentaries. I'm not sure about those ones, but the ones that I know want the best for their children, and we want our kids to enjoy all of the things that we didn't want, that we couldn't enjoy when we were their age. And we want our kids to have the best of everything. And sometimes we guilt parent, we overindulge our children into other things, but I know that the one thing that we can agree on as parents is that we want our kids to be of good health, we want our kids to be happy, and we want our kids to love us, and we want our kids to feel like they can talk to us about anything. We want to be our children's friends. And that is totally okay and totally understandable. With that said, I believe that every parent will say that, oh, my kids are smart, my kids are clever, my kids are beautiful, my kids are well behaved, my kids are this, my kids are that. I'm that type of parent, and I want my children to be 10 times, multiple times, 1 million times better than how I am. Therefore, I would not in good conscience give my children anything that they would harm them. But here's the catch. We have kids who live on sugar. And if we really do take the time to look at the packaging of the stuff that we feed our children, that nutrition table, all the information is there. We feed our kids 8 times out of 10 things that are not healthy for them. And my oldest daughter is not a coffee fan. She's not into it. She's a tea girl. But she's not a coffee fan, but she makes a mean cup. Jeez, Chula makes a good cup of coffee. But she doesn't, she will indulge maybe once in a long while. My son is not into coffee. He will have a cup maybe like once in 2 weeks type of situation. It's not really his thing. But the baby, my little one, enjoys a cup of coffee. And when I say enjoys a cup of coffee, she will have a cup like once a week or something. And when I do make her a cup, it is not as strong as mine, because if you ask me how strong I want my coffee, I will tell you that I want it to show up in a drug test. Hers will not even be detected, because when we have children as parents, obviously our children have been to doctors, they've been to specialists, they've been to pediatricians. We know their blood types, right? We all know our children's blood types, right? So therefore I know what is good and what is not good for them. They know what is good and what is not good for them. They know what they can indulge in and what they cannot indulge in. They know what what they are allergic to even. We have this information. So when I enjoy a cup of coffee with any of my kids, I'm not doing any harm. It's out of all the things that our children in our society are addicted to, coffee is in the bottom of the list. We have sugar and caffeine, but guess what? The caffeine that these kids are addicted to is not the one that comes from coffee. The juice, the cereal, the cold drink, bo coke, bo fanta, bo ing, my sweets, the chocolate, all of these things that our children eat are more addictive than a single cup of coffee, and we should pay attention to that. You should be aware of what your children are eating. You should be aware of what you're buying for your kids. You should be aware of what you're exposing them to, and you should be aware of their blood type, so you know what they can and cannot eat. And once they have this understanding, they will treat themselves better even. So as parents, we have to know this. Now back to my story time. When I couldn't enjoy something that my parents could not afford, or they thought hore gamakua or gang, now that I can afford it, and I now know hore has a product gamakua, and I know hore is an emotional support beverage, I enjoy it and I indulge, and it's not giving me problems. I'm not the type of person to stay awake because I've had coffee. I can have a cup of coffee and go right to sleep immediately. And same applies to my kids when they have it. So let's pay attention, and let's do our research. Let's get knowledge, because knowledge is power. So don't just take one look at one person and then decide that it's bad parenting because their kid had coffee. Story time is over. See you next time.